Good evening, I'm Melissa Hyak and you're watching Primetime News on Channel News Asia. In the news tonight, extraordinary measures for an unprecedented crisis. For the first time ever, Singapore dips into its reserves to fund a budget to save jobs and boost lending. Singapore has unveiled a bold expansionary budget with a boost of 20.5 billion Singapore dollars. This will result in its largest ever deficit of 8.7 billion Sing dollars, equivalent to 3.5% of the GDP. And for the first time, the Finance Minister Tharman Shanmugaratnam said the government will draw on past reserves to the tune of 4.9 billion Sing dollars. The package aims to save jobs, help businesses and enhance competitiveness. More from Channel News Asia's Imelda Saad.
How prolonged?
Finance Minister Tharman Shanmugaratnam said this budget comes at a time of grave economic crisis. And for Singapore, the country is starting from a position where its unemployment rate is the lowest in Asia at 3.3% in September. But in extraordinary times, the Singapore government came up with extraordinary measures. The 20.5 billion Sing dollar resilience package will cover $5.1 billion to preserve jobs, $5.8 billion for a special risk-sharing initiative to stimulate bank lending, $2.6 billion to enhance business cash flow and competitiveness, $2.6 billion to support Singaporean households, and $4.4 billion to develop infrastructure and expand on education and healthcare. And for the first time, the government will dip into the country's reserves to partially fund these measures. This will cover the new Jobs Credit Scheme, a temporary measure that will provide every employer cash grants to reduce their costs of employing Singaporean and permanent residents.
The jobs credit will add to the resilience of companies that are still viable but have been caught by the severity of the crisis and would otherwise be forced by cash flow difficulties to shed workers.
Help will also be extended to train and reskill professionals who've lost jobs. For low-income workers, there'll be a 50% top-up of the workfare income supplement, a scheme that supplements the take-home pay of low-wage workers. Another project to be funded by reserves, the Special Risk-Sharing Initiative, also a temporary scheme. This will see the government taking a significant part of risk in trade financing and making it easier for firms to take loans. Tax burden of businesses will also be lightened, with the corporate tax reduced by 1 percentage point to 17%. There will also be rebates and concessions on transport-related taxes and fees. For households, individuals will get a 20% tax rebate capped at 2,000 Sing dollars, a 40% property tax rebate, as well as rental and utilities rebates. Singaporeans will also get twice the amount of GST credits in 2009. This is a scheme where cash handouts are given out to help individuals offset the increase in the goods and services tax. Beyond taking care of immediate needs, the government is also putting in more resources to speed up infrastructure spending, like building rail and road networks, as well as rejuvenating neighborhoods and putting in more money towards education and healthcare. All this, Mr. Tharman said, to make Singapore the best home for Singaporeans.
Singapore has fundamentals that are going for it. Investors trust us. They see an advantage in our tripartite system, our open and cosmopolitan society, and a government that they know will work with businesses and Singaporeans to keep our economy competitive and our society strong.
China's economy grew at the